All right. What's up, Nick? Yeah, I'm just kind of bored, so I decided to go live. I haven't been live in quite a long while now, but I'm also just kind of modding Zach's chat right now for a rerun he's doing. So while I'm doing that, I figure I may as well go live. Probably just going to talk about a bunch of random stuff in this stream. I was thinking about doing a video on the Matthew Lillard Quentin Tarantino topic. I'm a little bit late to it because it happened a while ago. What's up? I know you used to go by a different name, Red, but I don't remember. But thank you for joining. Thank you for coming on. Read the title of his stream. Where the exposing of Ben Luce. Yeah, that one. I've got it playing in the background, not too loud though, but I'm keeping an eye on the chat here and there. But yeah, so again, I'm very late to this topic, and I'm just going to be talking about. It's Nick from Zach's streams. Oh, okay. I recognize you. Like I remember you. I recognize you. I just didn't know like what like. I feel like you went by another YouTuber like username in the past, so I didn't remember who exactly you were. But I've seen you in Zach's chat before. But so like the whole Matthew because Quentin Tarantino was on the Bret Easton Ellis podcast and he said some like things about Matthew Lillard and how he doesn't care for him as an actor and stuff, and like it created a lot of backlash and everyone freaked out about it. And I guess even at 29 years old, about to go into my 30s this year, I guess even now I'm still kind of a contrarian because all I could really think was like, who gives a fuck? Like the man shared an opinion. Yes, it was very harshly worded. Like the Quentin Tarantino was very harsh about it, true, but it's like still like the man he doesn't care for Matthew as an actor. So what? That was my whole opinion on it. He also said he didn't care for like Owen Wilson and some other actor. But I noticed that neither of those other two actors got like this outpouring of support, and neither of those other two actors really responded to it. At least I don't think they did, or if they did, it was overshadowed by the response from Matthew and the support that he got. Which I thought that Matthew responded to the criticism like pretty well. He took it. I thought he handled it really well. But then it's like, everyone came crawling out to defend him. And it's like, you would have thought that Quentin Tarantino, like, fucking insulted his mom or something. Or you would have thought that, like, Quentin, like, fucking killed a baby or something because of some of the responses. It's like, holy fuck, guys. He's allowed to his own opinion. He's entitled to his own opinion. It's not as if he hasn't earned the right to an opinion. The guy has directed some amazing films, namely Pulp Fiction, and he's worked with some great actors like Samuel L. Jackson and Leonardo DiCaprio and Steve Buscemi and other great actors. So I think he's earned his right to give his opinion on whether or not he likes an actor or not. I know Matthew did say one thing. He said that Quentin would have never said this about like a top name actor, like an A-lister, basically. Even though I'm pretty sure Owen Wilson is considered an A-lister on that thing, because like Owen Wilson's been in a number of like Hollywood films and stuff, so I'm pretty sure he'd be considered an A-lister. I mean, most people know who Owen Wilson is. I think that some people don't even know that Owen Wilson has, I think, a brother or a few brothers that are also actors, but like not as many people know them. But it's like everyone knows who Owen Wilson is. So I mean, I think he's an A-lister, would be considered an A-lister, or should be. And Quentin said he didn't care for him either. So, but I was gonna do a whole video, but I don't really. It's not like I don't have a ton to say about it. I didn't really care a whole lot about it, but other than the fact that it's like people just need to fucking calm down because, again, like the man's entitled to give his opinion. It's like an unspoken rule, I guess, that if you're a public figure and you're in the entertainment industry, especially, you're not supposed to give like an honest opinion about like other people in the same industry. It's kind of like if an author's book, for instance, gets adapted into a movie, and the movie adaptation is quite obviously just pure shit. The author can't really come right out and be like, "Oh, I hate it" or whatever. I didn't like it. They like fucked with my work and stuff. They can't really come out and say that. They might come out and just say like, "Oh, I approved of every change and stuff that they made and everything." But behind the scenes, they might be like, like I didn't like what they did to my work. So it's kind of like one of those things, I guess, that Quentin violated. Like he dared to attack a darling, I guess, because Matthew Lillard is. I haven't really seen him in a ton of movies. I think the only thing I've seen Matthew Lillard in is like the live action Scooby-Doo movie, or one of them, where he was Shaggy. He did a good job playing Shaggy. That's all I've really seen him in. I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I haven't seen enough to say whether he's good or bad, in my opinion. It's just, So I thought that whole situation was ridiculous. People need to grow up a little bit, in my opinion. Since Zach has exposed Ben Lucero, I hope he roasts Dan Sobel, aka the creepy Blues Clues and the Wiggles fan. I don't know who that is, actually. Is he a YouTuber? Dan Sobel, the creepy Blues Clues and the Wiggles fan. There's my sweetie in the chat. So what is he, like an adult fan of Blues Clues and the Wiggles? That's creepy a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think that certain people like that who are like still obsessively fans of shows that like are quite obviously like, it's kind of like when I come across grown adults who like are obsessed with what's that one show, Paw Patrol? It's just it's weird. It's fucking weird. I mean, I guess if like an adult with, I don't know, I don't want to like say the wrong thing or be offensive or anything, like a grown adult who has like maybe is more on the severe end of the autism spectrum, maybe who likes shows like that. I can understand if there's like a somewhat of a disability there, but if you're like a grown adult that's like functioning and stuff, but you like obsessively watch episodes of Paw Patrol, it's weird. It's a little creepy. So I assume that's the same thing with that Dan Sobel guy that Nick Cooper mentioned. I don't know. Although it's funny, I saw this. So there's a new show on Netflix called Mating Season. It's from the same creators who made what was it, Big Mouth? Is that what the show was called? But I watched the preview of it, and it's kind of like the same thing. It's kind of just like the low IQ, like low tier, crude like humor where it's like, oh my god, they're like anthro creatures in the show and they're like swearing and like doing sexual stuff, and it's isn't it so funny? It's like that kind of thing. And someone commented that it's funny that shows that are supposedly meant for kids are actually more deep and more intelligent than like these shows for adults that are just like so like low intelligence and like so low IQ really. I mean, I guess that when it comes to humor, it doesn't require like humor doesn't require a ton of intelligence, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of prefer some more brains with my humor, I guess. Um, it takes more than just like haha like cursing and sex to for me to find it funny. But yeah, and I read that comment and I thought that was I kind of was like, yeah, that's kind of true actually, because like so I guess in a way I'm am I contradicting myself a little bit? I don't know, maybe. Um, and maybe I'm like a slight bit of a hypocrite because I don't obsess over it, but like I did watch last year. I watched the Green Eggs and Ham show on Netflix, and I really enjoyed it, and it was like surprisingly really good. And I watched it because I had heard about it when it came out at the time, and I had seen it, but I didn't really have a lot of interest. But like like I was bored and stuff, and I just decided one day, what the heck, why not? So I gave it a shot, and it was like surprisingly good, because like my mom would read me like the Dr. Seuss books when I was a kid and stuff, and Green Eggs and Ham, of course, was one of them. It's crazy that they took like a book, and obviously those books are like are thin, so it's like and Green Eggs and Ham is more like a short story, but it's like they took a short story and made a whole TV series out of it, and you would think it would be like it would suck, but it doesn't. It's actually they made something really good out of it. Just crazy. Um, I should probably check on the chat. Let's see. Yep. Looks like everything's fine. Hey, what's up? Thanks for dropping by. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird how it's weird how that works. I never really did watch. I never watched Big Mouth, so but again, it just kind of seems like this the new show that they're coming out with the same creators. It kind of seems like the same thing. I don't know. I don't know. Most like animated adult shows, I just most of the time I can't really get into, with the exception of like BoJack Horseman. That was pretty good. But other than that, it's just like again, it's very like low IQ, like low intelligence humor, like the lowest common denominator humor. Um, I've heard that Big Mouth is good if you can get past the really weird art style. Maybe, yeah. I mean, I haven't watched it. Maybe I'll try to watch it at some point. I know that like because they've got a new show coming out, Mating Season. And I watched the trailer for it, and it seems like it's kind of cringy. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. It could be good, but I don't know. Some shows rely too much on that stuff, but I mean, it can also be like because I know that because I have a sister, and there's like an age gap there, like a pretty big age gap, like a 12-year age gap. And so like when I was like in high school and stuff, like she would be watching a lot of like the Nickelodeon shows and all that stuff. And Cartoon Network shows, and it's like a lot of those shows too relied on like the gross out humor and stuff. Which I mean, I remember growing up when I was a kid, like the shows that I watched seemed to have more brains to them, and it wasn't just that stuff. But then, like as time went on, like they started introducing more of that like random XD humor, like the cheap humor, the cheap like toilet humor and stuff like that, and just became more and more commonplace in shows like that. So I don't know, its quality went down over time, but yeah. Um, Let me just check the chat. For those who are dropping in, I'm also kind of like modding the chat for Zach's rerun of one of his videos right now. And if you don't know who Zach is, if you somehow don't know who Zach is, he's my partner. But yeah, it looks like everything's going good. I'm kind of just going off the top of my head right now, just talking about whatever. There's not really a focus for the stream. I'm kind of just talking about I was bored, so I decided to stream, and I haven't streamed in a long fucking time. I think it's been a few years since I streamed. Actually, I was streaming somewhat regularly there for a while, and then I kind of just stopped, and I stopped streaming just because other stuff was happening, and I kind of just lost interest, and like I don't know, life was kind of rough there for a little bit. Combination of work and personal life, and just going through some humps, to be quite honest with you. Like late 2023 and 2024, and like kind of all of 2025 was kind of rough. And I don't want to get too personal, but it's like me and Zach were going through some stuff, but we've overcome that, and we've gotten past it, and we're doing really well now. But it's like that stuff with work was tough, and then I was still kind of in a toxic friendship that I finally kind of just silently let go of at the end of last year. I haven't really ended it because I haven't had that conversation with that person, but I kind of just silently let go and have just stopped reaching out. And I mean, the person has like sent me messages like here and there, like, but not in a long while. So it's like, I'm not getting anything. I'm not giving anything, and obviously I haven't really gotten much back. So it's like I didn't really lose anything there, and like I don't miss the person, being in my life. And I think there's a saying, I don't remember what the saying is, but it's like, if their absence brings you peace, then they weren't adding much to your life in the first place. If anything, they were just taking. So, I don't know, dealing with narcissists, to any degree, to any level, whether it's on a friendship basis or a romantic basis, or if it's a family member, it's a parent. It's exhausting dealing with a narcissist, because narcissists. It's, if you haven't really like watched videos on narcissists, or watched videos or done research, or watch or read stuff to know what narcissists are, because I feel like some people even today don't really have a good grasp. Like when they hear narcissist, they might think of like someone who's really vain, but it's like it goes much deeper than that. But narcissists, they really are kind of like the real life vampires that we live amongst, because when you're around a narcissist a lot, it's like they're sucking the energy out of you. They're sucking the life force out of you. If you've ever spent time around someone and then afterwards you feel just so completely drained and miserable and even depressed, and you don't even know why, Maybe not always, but a lot of the time it may be because you could be dealing with someone who is very narcissistic. Because the almost the entire time that you're with that person, the attention, the focus always has to be on them, and you have to make sure that you're giving all your energy and time and stuff to that person. And they just always have to be dominating the conversation or the situation or whatever, and it gets tiring. And that was me. Like I would hang out with this person, and afterwards I would feel so fucking drained and miserable and depressed, and I didn't know why. But now I know why. I don't know for sure that person is a narcissist, but like mutual friends that me and that person have that I'm still friends with, that I still hang out with, they also think that if he's not a full-blown narcissist, then he certainly has narcissistic tendencies. And I think that it's also kind of, I guess it's going to turn to me talking about personal shit, but it's like, I think it's also kind of fucked me up a little bit. I don't want to be throwing a big pity party for myself here or anything. Like I'm fine, and stuff. It's like I'm not trying to make myself into some poor victim or anything, but it's like I feel like after dealing with someone like that and being friends, someone I considered a best friend for a number of years, since I moved to Massachusetts, I feel like thanks for stopping by, Damien. I'm glad that you're good to see you. But I feel like it's kind of it's fucked me up in the sense that like now it's like I worry about my friendships constantly because there were a number of things that happened that I won't go into too much detail about, but I was made to believe that a lot of things were my fault. No worries, Damien. I understand. Thanks for dropping by, anyways. But it's like I was made at a certain point in that friendship. It was like the last year and a half of that friendship. I was made to think that. Let's see. So much of what you're describing is what I really don't want anything to do with the whole mainstream gay bare leather scene anymore. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really dabbled in that whole scene really at all, to be honest with you. But I can imagine that whole scene could be chaotic for sure. It can have that same effect. Definitely. I remember you mentioning that on one of the re-uploads of the Some Guy 27 videos. I remember that. But I was made to feel like things were my fault, and particularly, I guess I'll get a little bit personal with this, but like, there was this person that I'm talking about, this former friend, real friends don't leave you feeling exhausted. True. Having to deal with 40, 50, 60, and even 70-year-old men with the maturity of level of middle schoolers was just too much. Oh yeah, fuck that. That'd be exhausting. Fuck that. They do make inappropriate innuendos about your homosexuality. There's a difference. Yeah. But yeah, this friend had this other friend he had never met this friend in real life. Like it was an online friend that he'd had for like over a decade. And sadly and unfortunately, the online friend of this friend that I'm referring to, took his own life. And he was like 18, 19. He was really young. And before I knew about that and before it was confirmed that did happen to him, I had said something. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I'd given an opinion on, like differences between, friends offline versus online friends and stuff that I still stand by to this day, but I guess it offended him at the time and it put a sour taste in his mouth. But he didn't say anything at the time, so I didn't know that it offended him that badly. But it's like when he finally told me that this friend of his took his own life, he made me feel like the biggest asshole ever. Like, he told me, he sent me this message saying, I don't expect you to understand. When I had told him before that my sister, I'm not going to go into more detail than this, but but my sister has made attempts several times. I think you know what I mean by that. And he knew that. He knew that. I told him all about that. So for him to say something like that I don't expect you to understand, that really made me feel like a fucking prick. And it when I think back about it now, it really fucking pisses me off. So that, on top of just a bunch of other things, and this friend was really a dick to Zach too, and I should have stepped in more, but that's a whole other thing. But it's like, yeah. So this, I don't even know how I got into this. I don't remember how I got into this topic, to be honest with you. But it's like, yeah, this friend. I've just, like I said, I silently kind of just ended things with this friend, and like it's. I don't even think that he knows that it's pretty much done, over with. But maybe that conversation will come at some point. I don't know. I don't know when. The ball's in that person's court, really, because I'm not going to try to reach out. And even when we were still friends, he didn't really take the time to reach out that often, even then, anyways. Despite telling me that I was like a brother to him and family to him and one of his closest friends. But it's like, he said that stuff all the time, but it didn't really feel like it, in action and in practice. So, yeah, I did not expect to go into all that when I started the stream, but there you go. But yeah, there was that, and just dealing with other bullshit in my personal life. That's just, like I said, a lot of humps in the last few years that I've gotten over, and there's still a lot of things that I need to do with regarding myself. Like, I think one thing that I probably need to do soon is I need to. I think I need to see like a therapist or like a psychiatrist or something. And it's not to scare people. It's just that, hey, Corrado, it's been a while since we've last streamed. Yeah, it's been a while. Actually, I need to check. Everything's still fine in Zach's chat. But yeah, like, I just, because I'm fairly certain that I struggle with depression. It runs in the family. It runs on my mom's side, especially. My mom struggles with it. Pretty sure my grandfather struggles with it, although he was never diagnosed. He deals with it in his own way. My aunt, technically my great aunt, but I always called her just Aunt Jan. But like, she definitely had it. So it runs in the family. Like, depression runs in the family, and I think it's starting to creep up on me. I know this week I've had a few days where it's just like it's like on Monday. I couldn't even tell you why, but it's like I just woke up in this like funk, and it's not severe to the point to where it's like you just don't want to get out of bed. It's not to that extent, but it's like I just was in this mind fog, and it's like I was like struggling not to break down into tears before work, and it's just like I didn't know why, but it's like no. And maybe it's something else. Maybe it's not even depression. Maybe I don't know. It could be something else. That's why I want to eventually, see a psychiatrist or a therapist to find out if I am struggling with some sort of mental health issue. Luckily, it's not severe to the point to where it has to be like an immediate thing. I can still try to manage it, but it's there to the point to where it's like I think that at some point soon I should probably see someone about it. That and I've also been dealing with this like issue with my mouth and stuff. Long story short, I had an allergic reaction to a certain type of fluoride. I had switched toothpaste and it had this type of fluoride. It's called stannous fluoride, and it has tin in it. And when I started using it, my mouth like just started like being irritated and stuff and being sore. Um, and it like fucked things up for a while. It gave me a lot of anxiety because I thought there was something wrong with my teeth and stuff. And so I went to the dentist a few weeks ago. Luckily, my teeth look good. I was told that I have good teeth actually, and there was no like plaque buildup underneath the gums. It was just my gums were irritated, which I already knew going in. But luckily, there was no cavities. I don't need to get a crown or anything like that. But because I hadn't been to the dentist in like over a decade, so it's like I was fucking nervous going in. It's like luckily everything seemed to be all right aside from the gums. They just told me to. I recently had to get my first root canal and crown recently. Oof, that's not fun. Um, I was afraid that I was going to need a root canal. I was really afraid of it. You'd think that by 31 my dental woes would be over. They ain't. Yeah, life's dude. It's like you know, it's just crazy because it's like no matter what we do, like even if like no matter how healthy we are, it's like we get older and older and older, and our bodies like break down in certain ways, no matter what we do, and we can't stop it. And it's just like it's kind of cruel when you think about it. Um, it's just life. Unfortunately, that's just how life is. But still, like when you really think about it, including our teeth and our dental stuff. Doesn't help my wisdom teeth grow horizontally. Oof. Yeah, that sucks, man. Sorry about that. Yeah. But no, like yeah, I had this allergic reaction and then so I stopped using the toothpaste that had the stannous fluoride in it. Um Switched back to toothpaste I was using. Only problem was it was a whitening toothpaste and a very like advanced whitening toothpaste, so it was very highly abrasive, so it wasn't helping my mouth heal. So I stopped using that. Um, and then like literally today, so my mouth has still been a little bit irritated. I figure out that I probably shouldn't be using any toothpaste with SLS in it. And if you don't know what SLS is, it stands for sodium lauryl sulfate, and it's a foaming cleaning agent in a lot of toothpaste, like a lot of mainstream toothpaste have it, like Colgate, Crest. That a lot of toothpaste have it. It's not like it's not an uncommon thing. A lot of toothpaste have this in it, but yeah, sodium lauryl sulfate is a cleaning agent, a cleaning foaming agent, which is harsh because it's meant to be a cleaner, but if you are sensitive to it, then it can create like canker sores in your mouth and stuff, and it can cause issues. Or in my case, apparently, which I researched and found out today. So, um, if you've been exposed to something like stannous fluoride and you have an allergic reaction to it that causes your gums to get irritated, using a toothpaste with SLS in it can actually like mitigate recovery. It can actually prevent your mouth from recovering properly. Because like at first my mouth started to feel a lot better when I switched to like this to basic anti-cavity Crest toothpaste. But then like the irritation has been flaring up a little bit. And so I think it's probably because the anti-cavity Colgate toothpaste has SLS in it. So it's like that's probably not helping things. So luckily I do have a toothpaste that is SLS free. It's also fluoride free. So my plan is to use that toothpaste and then also use another toothpaste that I found. It's Biotene. that is SLS free, but it does have sodium fluoride in it, which sodium fluoride is the more common fluoride that a lot of toothpaste use. Stannous fluoride is a newer thing, but sodium fluoride is different from the stannous fluoride because sodium fluoride doesn't have tin in it, which I don't have an issue with. Like sodium fluoride isn't the one that I have an issue with, so that should be fine. It should be safe. So I plan on using that because according to dentists, fluoride is important, although there's some debate as to whether fluoride actually does much for our teeth and our mouth or not. But as it stands right now, dentists and doctors say that you need to have a fluoride toothpaste. So I'm going to use a fluoride toothpaste like in the morning and then use the one without SLS. Well, neither of them would contain SLS, but like use the one without SLS and fluoride at night or vice versa. But point is, I'm going to use toothpaste without SLS in it. So hopefully, finally, my mouth can actually start to recover properly. I've been dealing with this since like the beginning of March for like 3 fucking months now. It's exhausting. I'm just ready for it to be over. But okay, everything still looks good on Zach's chat. But yeah, so make sure that you know what the active ingredient is in the toothpaste that you're using. Because I never paid attention to any of this stuff when for the longest time. Like I've done so much fucking research on this topic like the last few months. I never paid attention to what the active ingredient was in my toothpaste. I never paid attention to any of the ingredients. It's like it's toothpaste, whatever. But there definitely is a difference. There's the more natural. Like I know there's other toothpaste out there that are more natural, but it's like those toothpaste kind of scare me a little bit. I don't know. Like there's one brand of toothpaste, I think it's called Hello toothpaste, which is like fluoride free and like doesn't have a lot of the stuff that like more mainstream toothpastes have. But it's like one of my coworkers said that she started using one of the Hello brand of toothpaste. It started to hurt her teeth. And apparently the toothpaste had a like sweetener in it or like sugar in it, which is weird. Which I don't know, but it's like I'm afraid to use any of like those more natural toothpaste. But sorry, I'm back. I just got done eating dinner. Yeah, no worries. You're good. But yeah, like mouth pain is like the worst. Like mouth pain, mouth irritation. It fucking sucks. Like, I would rather. I think I'd rather have pain just about almost anywhere else, other than the mouth. Like tooth pain, gum irritation. Like it fucking sucks. It's fucking terrible. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It's awful. Like I'll deal with like limb pain any day over fucking this. It fucking sucks. Let me check the chat again. Yeah, still fine. But yeah, so yeah, the last few years have been kind of rough. But I'm hoping that finally I'm coming towards the end of all that shit and on the way to figuring some more stuff out. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I have to do still. I have to, I still have to start like a 401k and all that stuff, which is something else. Yet another thing that I need to get started on. And I'm fairly certain I don't have. There's a lot of things I need to get on top of, but I just haven't got on top of. So I'm like the biggest fucking procrastinator ever. It's just like all this like stuff I need to do and stuff, and that I just haven't done yet. Just the life of an adult, responsibilities. You know, but so, I know the people who watch my streams and Zach's streams are very different. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, Zach has his own style. I have my own style. That's totally fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or anything. I'm not criticizing. It's just people who usually watch Zach streams who are now watching my stream right now. It might be a little jarring because Zach mostly focuses on politics and obviously right now I'm talking about a random bunch of topics. Not that I don't have my own opinions on the political going-ons of the world and stuff, but I sometimes talk about those opinions on my channel, but I don't really go on stream and talk in depth about them. But plus, I know Zach keeps up with all that stuff a lot more than I do because I think that politics, I think too much of it after a while can just be like not good for you. Actually, it's not. That's my own opinion again. Just me. I'm just saying. I think that after a little while, it's healthy to step back from it and take a break and not focus on it too much. Because it's just demoralizing. You know, it's just demoralizing, and I've certainly gotten to be kind of black pilled with politics in the last, especially in the last year and a half. You know, I think that people who still make it about Democrat versus Republican, like left versus right and stuff, and it's like you guys just like do not get the full picture. Like you guys have not figured out the bigger picture of all this. Like the whole left right paradigm is just so dead. It should be dead. I still hear people talk about the left and the right and stuff. It's just like you guys are being controlled by the same entity. So back when we were reading Onision's hilariously cringeworthy book and filled with terrible, we've talked about if Onision went to the UFC MMA match. UFC MMA match? I don't remember that. Was that we've talked about it? Did he? Or is that like a hypothetical? Yeah, no, I remember I did the Onision book readings. I might continue those at some point. Because I think I was doing that before I kind of dropped off completely. I might start doing that again. I know I have to be careful with readings because I was doing the reading of Tex Watson's book, and I got reached out to by someone who supposedly owns the rights to the book, and so I had to take the streams down, or the videos rather, had to private them, which sucks. But you know, which maybe I should have known better. But it's like I figure that I'm reading a book from like a fucking man who murdered like several people, including like an unborn baby. So it's like, who the fuck cares if I'm reading his book, you know? But whatever. But yeah, no. Yeah, apparently Onision is uploading again, or he has a podcast or something. I don't know. He hasn't given up. I assume he probably has a job outside of YouTube at this point because there's no way he's making a living online anymore. But I mean, he could get brutalized physically and get psychologically abused by fighters like Conor McGregor, John Jones, or anyone. How would that turn out? You imagine? Well, I mean, I think that Greg. I know he goes by James now, but whatever. He'll always be Greg to me. Whatever. Yeah, I think Greg would get his ass beat. I mean, I think that God, Onion looks fucking terrible these days. Yeah, he does. He looks awful. Um, but yeah, no, I think Greg would get his ass beat. He would get absolutely demolished. I think that he would probably also, because he can't help himself, he's such a narcissist. He would try to say some give some snarky fucking pissy bullshit or something, or he would say something that would just piss like the fighter off or the other fighter off, and Greg would get absolutely wailed on, and then he would make himself a victim. He would somehow turn himself into a victim online or something, or do something like that, and make him whatever, because that's what he does. That's what he always did. Um, uh, by fighters, like yeah, I think he would just get his ass beat, and I think that it wouldn't really have much of an effect. I forgot to, it's like psychologically speaking, I think he would still be the same little cunts that he's always been. I forgot to add, is Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul treatment but better? What like it would be like compared to Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul? I mean, maybe. Um, you like kombucha? I love kombucha. Oh my god, I can't believe that was like that's already been what 6.5 years ago already. Holy shit, I feel old. Um, that was like that was the official like I feel like his career was already pretty much dead leading up to that point, but I feel like that's the point where it just like completely died, just like completely died, because that was also around the same time that Chris Hansen was having all of his or at least like some of his exes on, and like others who had like had contact with Laney and stuff. Probably my last fun pre-pandemic memory. Yeah, that was right before the pandemic. God damn. It was like late 2019, I remember. Yeah, me and Zach were like early on in our relationship, like a few months into our relationship, and yeah, wow, fuck. The world's changed like so much since then. It's crazy. It feels like that was just yesterday. I mean, he gets verbally tortured, being called with the entire crowd cheering and repeat the words. Yeah, maybe. The only thing is, I don't know how well known he is at this point. I mean, like there might be some people who still remember him, but I don't know if he would be. I don't know that he would be that recognized though. But I'm sure that if there was like, because I know that like with a lot of those fights, there's like the pre-fight, like where the fighters like say some stuff or whatever. Um, I'm pretty sure Greg would like say like just would immediately everyone would be immediately turned off by him. Like everyone would think that he's a cunt automatically just by him opening his mouth. So and he would just look gross. Like I don't know how he's looking these days, but it's like even when he was like all muscly and stuff, he was still all scrawny and shit. And he just looked gross. He's always looked gross. Like his fucking scrawny vegan muscles, like this, like I, like he was conventionally attractive in the way that like he had that whole like boy band look going on for a little bit. Um, Personally, I don't like that's not really what I'm into as far as like men I'm attracted to goes, but I can see where he would have been attractive to like obviously teenage girls and stuff, and like I don't know, maybe like some adult women might find him attractive. I don't know, but it's like I never thought he was. I never thought he was really. He never did anything for me. As far as his looks go, um, he always kind of came off as like just a permanent teenager. That's how he acted, and that's kind of a turnoff for me. Normally, I love men with beards, but Greg looked awful when he grew his out. Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, the beard did not suit him at all. It's um Yeah, like my preference is I actually like men who are older. Like I like older men. I always have. I don't know why. I've always liked older men. Um, and I don't. It's always been a preference of mine. I guess it's just like it's. I value maturity and I value just maturity, wisdom, intelligence. You know, thoughtfulness and stuff like that. And um, not that younger men, or I mean, in my case, younger gay men, not that they don't have that. There are some that I'm not trying to generalize is the point, but it's like, for me, it's like the older the better, basically. I mean, obviously I'm with Zach, so it's like, Zach is the one for me, and we're the same age, and I'm happy with him, obviously. But if it weren't Zach, it'd probably be like an older man. But like I said, I'm happy with Zach, but that is my preference though when it comes to men. But yeah, like Greg always, again, I don't know, like there's some guys that act like that, like Greg does, where it's like they try to come off as like, even when they're in their 30s, they try to like act like this. They make their appearance into that of like a 16, 17-year-old, and they try to act like an eternal teenager, and it's really weird. It's definitely a turn off too, 'cause it's like I no, no. I mean, there are some guys who like that. I mean, both gay and straight and bi. Um, like there are some men who get with people who are like younger than them, like a lot younger than them, like still like legal and stuff, but like way younger than them. It's like I never got that. It's like, how can you relate to someone that young? It's like, how can you as a 35-year-old be with someone who's like 19 years old? Like, how do you even how do you relate to someone that young? That's always been my thing. I don't really get it. You know, and plus, like you know, hypothetically, I wouldn't really want to be with an 18, 19-year-old, because it's like, in my eyes, like an 18, 19-year-old is a kid. It's like, yes, they're legally an adult, but it's like, still though, like, nope, too young, and we probably can't relate on anything because you're still practically a teenager, and nope. So I've never understood that whole thing, but I mean, everyone has their preference, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I might continue those Onision book readings at some point. I think I still have it on my. It was free. I think I downloaded it, so I still probably have the book in my phone. So maybe at some point I might start doing that again. I don't know. I like doing book readings. It's just that you always have to be careful because you don't know if someone's going to reach out and claim that they have rights, and then you can get in trouble and stuff, and then all that fun stuff. But one thing about getting older yet still looking young is assuming so many people who look older than you are actually only like 20 or 21. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Um, I don't know. It's funny because people think that I look younger than I actually am. Um, like I have this coworker who just started, and like we were talking about ages and stuff, and I was like, "You want to?" I was like, "Guess how old I am?" And she thought I was like 21, 22, and I was just like, "Nope, I'm 29." And she like didn't believe it and stuff, and I was like, "It's like, no, if I have like if I'm if I like grow up my facial hair a little bit, I look a little bit older. But if I shave it off, I tend to look younger than I actually am. Like I've even been carded. I still get carded sometimes. It's funny, but I mean, I guess it's I I guess it's a compliment. Still around over the age of consent. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't really care whatever age gap as long as it is legal and consensual. But yeah, I've been seeing that. Yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, as long as everything is legal and consensual and stuff, like that's my opinion too. I'm more just saying that, in terms of my own preferences, I just don't really understand how someone who's well into adulthood, and when I say well into adulthood, I mean like into their 30s and stuff, and even like 40s, but like they'll still get with people who are like in their, get with people who are like 18, 19, 20. It's like, I don't personally get that just because I myself, hypothetically speaking, I wouldn't really be into that at all because it's like, again, that's too young for me. And not all, but most 18, 19-year-olds are still pretty fucking stupid. Not all, but a lot of them. Some people just find it weird for someone like 39 being with someone even with 19. I mean, yeah, it's still like it's legal. It's as long as it's legal and consensual, it's fine. I'm not saying that like I don't get it because of that. It's just that like 39, 19. I just don't understand how a 39-year-old could would, because our brains aren't even fully developed until we're well into our 20s. I think it's like 25, 26 or something. And like at 19, a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time at 19, you really don't have a lot of life experience or haven't lived long enough to gain like a whole lot of wisdom and stuff. Maybe that's the wrong word to use, but I don't know. Just like it's for me, I guess it's just the maturity aspect. I don't know why you'd want to date someone who is still, although they may be legally an adult, it's like they still kind of have the mentality of a kid. That's just me, though. Some people do get really weird about age gaps, especially on social media. Like I remember seeing someone imply that Carl Urban was for seeing someone in her. Wait, was a PDF for seeing someone in her mid-30s? Really? Wait, how old is Carl Urban? Sure, the 34-year-old literal child can't think for herself. Eye roll. Wow. Wait, how old is Carl Urban? He's what, like in his 40s, maybe? Like late 40s, early 50s? And people said he was a PDF for dating someone in their 30s. Oh my God. I can believe it. I mean, I can believe that. Like, it sounds about right. Like, the mentality of some people online is just ridiculous, but 50s, I think. Okay. See, like, someone in their 30s dating someone in their 50s, like, I think is like, I get that. Because, like, at that point, when you're in your 30s, like, I feel like you've lived, like, I can understand someone in their 50s dating someone in their 30s, because it's like, at that point, I feel like both people are on equal playing ground as far as, like, mentally and stuff. And so they can actually relate to each other and have conversations and stuff. Like I can get that. Like I don't really think that's too weird. I myself, again, hypothetically, I'm not saying that I want to make that clear because I don't want people to think that I'm not happy with Zach as I am and stuff. But I again, hypothetically, like if I wasn't with Zach, I probably would be open to dating someone in a man in his 50s. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like some people might find that really weird and stuff, but it's like, again, like that's my preference. That's what I go for. Honestly, weirdly enough, they're not really as much different than, let's say, 18, 17, or 16 in terms of mental maturity. Even after turning 25, you still learn more new experience as you get. Yeah, that's true. Older, up to 30s even. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't think I don't think that a 19 or 20-year-old is really that much different than like an 18-year-old. Well, that much different than like a 17-year-old, because it's like there's no difference between 19 and 17, and it's like there are people who like to act like when someone turns 18 that like magically makes them way more mature than a 16-year-old because now they're of legal age, which is bullshit. But yeah, I don't know. Uh, Again, it all comes down to personal preference. As someone who was 29, going to be 30 this year, I the thought of dating like an 18-year-old or 19-year-old is just like, for me, anyways. Personally, for me, it's kind of icky because just too young. But the world is just so complicated. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. It definitely is. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm in the same boat as you. I've always liked them older. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just I guess I think another thing is that it doesn't like it doesn't apply to just one sexual orientation. Like, I think that a lot of young people in their 20s are kind of just like crazy and like wild and stuff, and they don't know what they want yet, and they're not ready to settle down. So it's like when it comes to dating and stuff and like sex and everything, it's like it tends to be a lot of like casual dating, and not with everyone in their 20s. I'm not generalizing, but it's like a lot of that kind of thing is happening. And for me, like, I never really went through that phase, to be honest. Like, I never was interested in the whole like sleeping around, like, and casually dating like this person, that person. I mean, I've always wanted like something grounded and stuff, even when I was like in my early 20s, and like, um, so I think that's probably another thing is just like, like with older men, not always, but like there's a higher chance with them that they've had their fun than that now they want something serious and grounded. And so I think that's also something that like would attract me and stuff, hypothetically. But yeah, I've learned a long way ahead that 18 doesn't magically make them an adult. Yeah. Yeah, like legally you're an adult at 18, but in the ways that really do matter, it's like, no, you're not nearly an adult yet. Um, I think for me, the desire for older men began from a young age. My gym teacher put up a poster of Stone Cold Steve Austin in his trunks in the school gym, and it definitely awakened something in me. So Stone Cold Steve Austin did it for you. That's funny. Um, yeah, I think I've always preferred The Rock personally. Like The Rock is like The Rock's in his 50s, but like, fuck, goddamn, that is an attractive man. He may be in his 50s, but fucking holy shit. Um, yeah, no. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know exactly what awakened me. I know that a lot of gay guys have their like they saw like a man or something. They saw something that was like their awakening. For me, I think it was a combination of things. Like, I know my like again, not to get too explicit or anything, but like my dad watched a lot of shows that like would have like nudity and stuff, like True Blood and Game of Thrones, stuff like that. I think he was also watching like a Conan the Barbarian movie or something. But like, I saw several images of like men who were like, grown men, not teenagers, but like grown men. Um, and I saw like there would be the scene and there would be shots of like their asses and stuff and everything. And so it's like that, like several instances like that seared into my mind. And it's just like, yeah, That was, so I guess you could say that was my awakening or something. I don't know. I don't remember. Oh, no. Okay. So, fuck, what's his name? I think one of the guys that was like kind of like my awakening was Adam Lambert. Like Adam Lambert, I just remember thinking, holy crap, that's a beautiful man. Oh my God. At like 12, 13 years old, and I didn't know like what that was at the time, but now obviously now I know. And so it's like, I still think he's a beautiful man. He's not necessarily the type I would go for now, but like he's still a very beautiful man. I've always joked that is WWE staged. Yes. Did seeing Rikishi completely break my brain and permanently impugn me with a taste for heavy set Samoan men? You bet your fucking ass. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Holy shit. I would say something a lot more explicit and stuff, but at that point, it probably would be TMI, so I'm not gonna say it. But something to do with Rikishi. That's all I'll say. Heck, a 16, 17-year-old can be more mature than an 18-year-old, but again, their brains are still young and processing like fruits. Yeah, that's true. Well, I think that if as a teenager you've had like a rough upbringing, for example, like if you've been through a lot and you've seen a lot, you could be like ahead of your years maturity wise at. Oh, I get it. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Yeah, okay. Yep. But yeah, no, like a teen who's been through abuse, unfortunately, for example, or who has seen a lot, yeah, they can be well ahead of their years, which isn't natural, isn't normal, and it shouldn't happen because all kids should be able to have a relatively at least normal childhood, but unfortunately, that's really oftentimes not the case. So that can't happen. But yeah. Oh my God. No, I did. I did watch professional wrestling growing up, and I still watch it sometimes now. But it's like, yeah, I probably also had. I probably saw some stuff there too that probably confirmed for me which way that I leaned. But forgot talking this long gets you fucking parched. Holy shit. Probably should go get my water over there. Right now I'm drinking a Celsius. But yeah. So it's been established on here that I prefer, hypothetically, I prefer older men. Again, this has just been like a basket full of random topics, but yeah, go on to talking about my preferences and stuff and other people's preferences too. But that's another thing to cause a runaway. Cause a run. What you mean, like a kid running away from home? Is that what you're talking about? Because yeah, that can happen. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but I assume that's what you're talking about. Runaway kid teen. Okay. Yeah, so like a teenager that runs away from home. Yeah, it happens. If there's a lot of abuse happening in the household, then that can definitely happen. Um, it would be better than like something else happening, which also unfortunately does happen a lot. It's been a while since I checked Zach's chat. I feel kind of bad because I feel like maybe some people are just like are migrating over to my stream and just dropping out of Zach's like rerun and stuff. So I feel kind of bad. It's been an hour and 10 minutes already. God damn. This has been cathartic, though. Actually, I forgot that how much fun it can be streaming and talking to people. I might try to start doing this more often. Maybe with more topics prepared next time. But I think I've done a pretty good job with just going off the top and stuff. And obviously, I've gotten ideas from the chat too. When we talk about severe traumatic experience, they grow up too fast because of this. One of my best friends was basically like that kid. He definitely experienced some traumatic things growing up, and I don't want to be all that specific and stuff. But I mean, he witnessed some things that probably no child should see or experience. And he definitely was told like a lot that he was mature for his age and that he was ahead of his years for his age. It was funny because me and him were talking once, and he sent me this voice message on Messenger, and he was talking about how people would say that he was like so mature for his age, and he was just like, yeah, it's because I had to put up with a bunch of bullshit, which he did. I think that's probably why me and him became best friends, because we became best friends in like the 6th grade, and we're still friends to this day. But that's probably why me and him became best friends, is because we both went through a lot with our childhoods. Now, granted, I didn't experience some of the things that he did. I think that he went through significantly more than I did. I mean, like, compared to the abuse and the trauma that other people have gone through in their childhoods, I don't think that I really had it as bad or nearly as bad as some other people have it. But I went through my parents' divorce when I was 10 and stuff, and I went through that whole shit. And I went through the chaotic bullshit of blended families and all that stuff. And within like 2 years, I had basically like a stepfather and a stepmother and stuff, and it was a lot to take in rather quickly. Which may have some effects to this day on my mental health. I always thought that it didn't, and that I got through it, and that I was resilient, which I was told that I was. I was told that I was resilient. But it probably had more of an effect on me than I've cared to admit up until this point. And I grew up with having, I didn't know at the time, I kind of rationalized it, but I grew up with having, a stepfather who was definitely like a narcissist, on top of being a sociopath, which is a whole other thing. Because my mom was married to him for about almost 16 years, but she luckily got away about 2.5 years ago at the beginning of 2024. So, and I also saw some things that he did, nothing extreme, but like, just like, verbal abuse and stuff. And there were plenty of times where he would like subtly put my mom down in front of me, and I would kind of like rationalize it as him just being sarcastic all the time and stuff. But it's like, I look back on that now, it's like, all right, that's not right. I was basically witnessing subtle forms of abuse. But I wasn't the victim in that scenario. But that's kind of something else that I've kind of been coming to terms with and dealing with, is the fact that, I mean, you can still be mature for your age without having to deal with a horrific childhood or whatever that may be. There's discipline. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true, but I think that more often than not, the reason that some kids are more mature than their counterparts is because they've had to deal with some stuff, maybe not necessarily like trauma per se, but just some tough shit in their childhoods and stuff. I agree that it doesn't always have to be something like that. There are some kids who are just naturally more mature, but I feel like that it's often the case that there's something more than just them being more mature than other kids. But um, but yeah, I don't know. I've it's something else that I've kind of like been realizing is that I tend to I guess minimize the effects that some of that stuff may have had on my own mental health, maybe, or like the more like long lasting effects as opposed to like the immediate effect it may have had at the time or something. But it's like maybe those sorts of things like did have more long lasting effects where it's like before, up until not too long ago, I always just kind of like figured, well, other people have had it way worse, so it's like I really didn't go through that much, which I don't feel like I did, but still went through some stuff, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say at this point. It's just like it may have had more of an effect than I cared to admit, or something. Because again, me and that same friend talked about it recently about like I don't know the phrase, but it's like minimizing, not gaslighting yourself, but like minimizing the trauma, or I don't know, and that you may have, even if it's not like really really massive trauma, but even if because like there are different forms of trauma and stuff. It doesn't have to be something like entirely awful. And now I'm afraid that I might. I don't know. I don't want to insult other people who have been through like serious trauma. It's like again, this is something again right here. What you're seeing is like this is something that I've struggled with for a long time that I'm starting to realize that I'm coming to grips with. But it's like I feel like saying that I went through any sort of trauma, even if it's just like minimal trauma, I feel like is insulting to people who have been through some like really terrible, awful trauma, who have just been through some like awful things that no one should experience. And it's like I don't want to compare what I went through to what those people went through, because it just doesn't compare at all whatsoever. Sounds exactly like one of my longtime best friends having to suffer from a narcissistic sociopath stepfather. Not really a stepfather. He was his mom's current boyfriend's. Well, if they're around long enough, I can kind of see why they'd be considered a step parent. But yeah, no, it's like in this case, I can understand why he would call the guy a stepfather. And in my case, it was my mom was married to this guy for. So I mean, he was the real deal in terms of being my stepfather, but not anymore. It doesn't help that so many people abuse that word in this day and age. Yeah, they do. They do. They'll. Yeah, like people use the word. The trauma is overused a lot, and not to be like not to come across as insensitive, but I think that there are some things that people label as abuse or something, or label as trauma, abuse, whatever, that really isn't a. It might be an abusive action in the moment, but the person themselves aren't abusive. And yeah, I get what you mean. Like I know what you're saying. We took advantage of a widow's mindset where she can enable him 24/7. Yeah, that's what narcissists will do to you. Um, like, I'm sorry, but someone being mean to you on Twitter isn't trauma. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, people getting pelted because people get insulted a few times on Twitter, and somehow it's traumatic. It's the equivalent of being like sexually violated or something. Like, fuck off. It's the nature of the internet. It's the nature of social media. Like, you're gonna get insulted every once in a while. It's like, get over it. Just grow a thicker skin. That's not trauma. It's like Stevie said one time in like an older video of his. What did he say? He said, "Oh no, someone called me a butthole online." Oh, uh, yeah. What's What's worse is he was from Massachusetts. Uh, yeah, damn. Um, yeah, it's you would think the people who are chronically online all the time, who are chronically on social media, like places like X, would be more immune to that. That's where you and Zach live, my fellow residents from Massachusetts. Oh, do you live in Massachusetts as well? That's cool. Um, I didn't know that. If you do, I'm just checking Zach's stream again. Just checking the chat. Um, all right, it's fine. Um, yeah, like again to reference Stevie. There was that whole thing where that conversation got leaked where Stevie was being like a huge. I mean, admittedly, he was being a huge asshole to his fiance, and he was like screaming at her and yelling at her and stuff, and he was being an asshole, and it was an action that could be considered abusive, definitely. But it's like Stevie himself, though, is not an abusive person. Sometimes people do things that can hurt someone else, but that doesn't mean that defines their behavior towards that other person. It's like sometimes in relationships, people just fight and so they say hurtful things to one another, but it doesn't mean automatically that the relationship itself is abusive or that someone is an abuser. Um, it's just that people are complicated, people are flawed, people are complicated. Not everything is black and white, and sometimes people say hurtful things to one another. It just happens sometimes, and I feel like that a lot of people don't grasp that nowadays. They think if you've said and done like one hurtful thing ever, somehow that defines you as a person, and therefore they can just claim that you're an abuser based off of one thing that you've done that isn't great. But it's like that's all of us. We've all done and said things that we're not proud of that we probably wouldn't right now. That's everyone. And it's like oftentimes I feel like people who sit on social media or YouTube or wherever else and cast judgment like that and see the world in black and white, oftentimes they have the most skeletons in their closets. Um, I'm from Texas. Oh, okay. I hope Stevie's still doing pretty good. He's been through so much shit in his life, and I do worry about the guy. I hope he's doing well too. I hope he's doing all right. I hope him and Becky are still doing well. I heard some rumor that they're not together anymore. I don't know. I mean, hopefully they are. Hopefully it worked out. If not, then hopefully they're both doing well. But yeah, hopefully he's doing good. I don't know. I feel like out of all the ranters in that old community, I feel like Stevie was the one with the most. Well, maybe Andrew too, like a Gadiga and like Andrew as well, and a few others. But I like Stevie was probably the one that was the most grounded and had the most integrity and had the best head on his shoulders. I feel like because a lot of the ranters from that time either turned out to be creeps or turned out to be real douchebags or just turned out to be just something or another. Uh, I was casually friends with some of them for a while, but like I don't really talk to them much anymore. Stevie is definitely one of the realest people out there. Yeah, for sure. I think that's what I've always like, whether it's in real life or online. I've always gravitated towards people who are like that, who are just real and honest and don't sugarcoat shit. Like it's refreshing. Like living in a world, again, online and in real life, where it feels like there's so much bullshit and sugarcoating with everything constantly. It's very refreshing to come across someone who is real like that and who just says it how it is and doesn't feel the need to sugarcoat shit. Um, yeah, I've always appreciated people like that. And Stevie was definitely one of them. I miss his content. I know that he's doing more things with his life now. He's going on to do other things, and I get that and I understand that and I respect that. But it's like if Stevie were to come back, like it would be like a breath of fresh air. Like he's someone like him is desperately needed right now. There's not really many other people out there like him because everything else feels so artificial and edited and just scripted nowadays. There are so many people on this platform that need a Stevie slapping so bad. Yeah. Oh God. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah. There's too many to count. Really. A lot of these drama tubers definitely. That's a sector of YouTube that I've really come to dislike. Just talking about people who see the world in black and white. It's like these. There was one drama slop YouTuber. I think her name is Riley Elena or something. She's got like bright red hair and stuff, and she's done videos on like low hanging fruit and stuff. And it's like she came at this YouTuber, this OG goth YouTuber who's been on YouTube for like over a decade, for years and years, and was trying to claim that she was a bad person because of like this or that or whatever. But it turned out that like this information that she got was like totally false, or at the very least highly exaggerated. And she did poor research, but it was obvious that she just wanted to churn out a video for drama purposes and stuff. And so she decided to take aim at someone who had done nothing wrong, or maybe she had done some things in her past that she wasn't proud of. And it's like, again, it's almost like people might do things early on that they may not they wouldn't do or say later on in their life. It's like almost like people develop and stuff and make mistakes along the way. It's like people don't get that, but yeah, like I would love if Stevie came back on and just like slapped some of these people down from their pedestals. It would be really refreshing. Um, some of these, and like it's the drama, whether it's the drama tubers or it's like some of these true crime channels too. Even some of these people who like host these channels that are, well, obviously to like they talk about these cases and stuff, and to me they don't treat it with the gravity that deserves to be treated with. Um, and they just don't take it seriously at all, and they're almost kind of snarky about it and stuff. And it's just like, especially when it comes to people who um, who obviously had fucked up childhoods and who like there was something wrong there to begin with. Because like Stevie was reacting to one, I don't know who it was, but he was reacting to one person who was like doing a video on someone, like I think it was a school, it may have been like a school shooter actually, or someone who, and the guy was just being really really snarky and saying stuff about the case, and it's just like not treating it with the gravity that deserved to be treated with. And it's just like, dude, like you obviously have never been through shit in your life ever, and you don't understand, you really don't like understand the depth of the topic that you're speaking on. I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but it's just like people are too comfortable with being way too casually snarky and or just being too casual about some stuff that they probably should know to take way more seriously, and they should like understand that when it comes to stuff like that, there are like more angles to it and there are more aspects to it that are causing the eventual thing to happen than they're giving attention to, if any of that makes any sense, what I just said. I've noticed that in the early 2020s, so many bread tubers tried so hard to be like the old school ranchers with the vulgar and edgy commentary, and they couldn't do it to save their lives. Yeah. Well, frankly, one thing that holds the bread tubers back is that most of them are these not every single one of them, but most of them are like these pussy like lefties who can't use certain words. So they can't even be as edgy, and as like hardcore as and vulgar as Stevie was. Um, they can't use, and I don't care. Like they can't use words like retard or stuff like that, because if they use words like that, they'll get fucking canceled by their own audiences. And so that's one thing. But it's like it's the thing with these, like, because with the ranters, it's funny because like a lot of these bread tubers claim to be they criticize they a lot of them claim to be like revolutionaries to some degree or whatever, and they're against the system and they're against all this stuff, while simultaneously actually they're entirely for these systems. They just want to tweak the system to do what they want. So they're still for the system. The system just isn't running how they want it to run. Right. Whereas like ranters like Stevie, say what you will about them, but it's like they were, they would criticize the system and not be a part of it at all. So it's like they were, I don't know. Again, I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense, but it's like, and that's another aspect to it. The bread tubers could never be like the old school ranters like Stevie. Because a lot of those ranters were very anti-conformist, and even back then when YouTube was a lot more like Wild West and stuff, certainly more than it is now. Even back then, like ranters were like they kind of broke the mold, and they were different from all other content creators because they just spoke their minds honestly, and they talked about stuff that pissed them off and stuff. And whereas these bread tubers just they claim to rail against the system that really they're all for. Again, the system just doesn't work how they want it to work. If it worked how they wanted it to work, then they'd be entirely conformists. That's kind of why the only one I really could tolerate was Vosh when he was in his era where he was criticizing the left while being on the left, but of course he ended up falling into line after 2023. Yeah, yeah, I never liked Vosh. One being just because when it comes to my own, I won't get like when it comes to my own personal politics, I tend to be like, at this point, I kind of just consider myself to be in the center. Like I'm in the center. I lean libertarian, but I'm in the center. But it's like, I used to lean more right actually, but not so much now. But I'm still very much in the center. But like with Vosh, I never really agreed much with his politics and stuff, and I also just thought that he was always kind of bad faith because, he very much does that whole debate thing, and I think that he went into a lot of debates entirely in bad faith. Not to mention all the disgusting stuff that's come out about him in the last 3-4 years. Yeah, he's a very he's just not he's not a good person. He's not a good person. Especially when he did that whole thing where he was like saying that there can be benefits from from children having sexual relationships with adults and stuff. It's very, very creepy, very weird. But that's a whole other thing. But like I can see where Vosh, because like Vosh at the very least was kind of edgy, and he had that whole like angry vulgar thing sort of going on, where it's like other people like the Serfs or like what's his name, Xander Hall, or uh, um, yeah, there was another one, but there were several of them. Some of them kind of, or like what was his name, Jake, or actual Jake, or something like that. Like just people like that were very bland, and very conformist too in their own way. They claim to be anti-conformist while at the same time being actually super conformists. Because you know they're conforming to what is acceptable in mainstream society now, because having all the opinions that they do is basically friendly to what the mainstream accepts for the most part. Not entirely, for the most part. It's not really anti-conformist to support. Like just for example, it's not really anti-conformist to support the LGBTQ community. Um, that's pretty mainstream now. Uh, and that's not me saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, there's still like bread tubers and lefties who like to act like that's somehow like against the system and uh, um, not mainstream, when it pretty much is at this point. But yeah, no, I mean that's one of the many things that I appreciated about Stevie and people like him. It'd be very interesting to see what Stevie's thoughts are on Vosh. It's just Stevie doing like a verbal, like giving Vosh like a verbal decapitation. That'd be funny. Fortunately, we still have to deal with the remaining vestiges of those Christian conservative assholes who want to shove Bibles down everyone's throats. Yeah, yeah, we do. Which it's kind of difficult, especially someone in my position. I mean, and maybe in yours too. I don't know what your like stances are, but like for me, like I know what you're talking about, and like I don't like those people either. Um, I kind of watched. I went through like a phase where I did kind of watch those types of people for a little while, um, but especially from the last few years, I've kind of like drifted away from that. But even when I was kind of on that side, I still didn't agree with the whole like religiosity, like Bible coming before the law thing. And even then, I didn't consider myself a conservative. Like I've never considered myself a conservative. But yeah, it's difficult being someone again who was kind of in the center. It's like you're against like the Bible thumping, ultra conservative, like people who like want the church, the separation of church and state to be dissolved, and they want like to they want to be extremely moralistic and like ban anything that's like they want to undo same-sex marriage and all that stuff, while at the same time it's like you've got the bread tubers and the lefties who are just so fucking like you're against all the like the neo pronoun bullshit and the all that stuff, and the political correctness and stuff, and the identity politics and all that stuff. It's like I'm against one, but I'm also against the other. So it's like, and then if you criticize one, people will think that you're a part of the other. It's very exhausting. It's like it's almost like people can like have opinions that don't align with one group or another group or that group or whatever other group. People automatically assume that you're this or that. It's become like a team sport. It's like I think that because I think what happened was like leftists leftists and whatever you want to call it, like, the culture war and stuff. It's like they started losing it, and I think how they started losing it was like a lot of like younger right wingers, um, kind of took a more like secular approach, where it's like they're religious, but they're not really bringing their religion to the forefront of their arguments and stuff. They kind of kept it like strictly secular, and so it's like people were kind of fooled into thinking that a lot of these people weren't really all that religious, and if anything, they were gonna lean more libertarian and stuff. But then in the last like 3 years, like these people have started like getting more and more extreme when it comes to religion and stuff, and now it's starting to become more like the old school religious right all over again. Because it's like I remember like Ben Shapiro, for example, would always keep his arguments pretty secular and stuff, and he always like even though that he's like in his personal life he's very religious, he doesn't like bring a lot of religious arguments to the table and stuff. But it's like obviously now, and the people that he works with, like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, it's like they've definitely started making the more religious arguments lately, and started making it well known that they are pretty religious and they are pretty that way. So I just hate how the left became so obsessed with purity politics like in 2014, 2015. Yeah, that's kind of what cost them. That's probably, it's not the thing, but it's one of many things that I think ended up costing them like the election in 2016. And then that kind of started the whole, I think the culture war was still going on before that, but that's when it really started. And that's when the scale started like tipping, because I think that up until that point, like the left was winning. I think the last big issue that they won was same-sex marriage, and I feel like in some ways that was like one of their last valid issues that they had the upper hand on, and that they won soundly. But then after that, they started losing after that. But now I feel like it's starting to tip back in the other direction. So I don't know. I mean, both politics and religions are all ideologies, though the politics tend to be way more divisive. Hmm. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It depends on the religion, because religions can also be pretty divisive, in my opinion. But yeah, they're all ideologies to some degree. But I guess at the very least, like people who are religious and not very religious can sometimes come together um, when it comes to like certain political issues. Then again, it took gay acceptance literal decades to happen, from the initial gay rights movement from the 50s and 60s to 2015. When yeah, that's true. Literal decades. Yeah, yeah. It's funny how not I won't like not all, but like a lot of right wingers are now going back to the same sex marriage issue and trying to bring that whole issue up again. It's just like why at this point? It's like you guys lost, and you don't really have any good arguments as to why it shouldn't be legal. So like any argument that you can make can be like explained away, or argued, or like anyone can put holes in any arguments that you couldn't make that's against it. Like logically speaking, two grown adults in a consensual relationship deciding to get a marriage certificate, it doesn't actually harm anyone. It just offends you personally, or you think that it's not natural. Which again, that's your own personal thing. You're entitled to your own personal opinion. That's fine. You can think that, but your own personal feelings don't come before the law. So, or they want to make it about procreation, which it's like, just because someone is gay doesn't mean that they magically can't procreate. They still can. They just probably sometimes choose not to for obvious reasons. Um, but a lot of the time, they can still like um, they can still procreate, just not through like traditional means. They will get like a surrogate. They'll do a surrogacy or adopt or something. Um, which is funny because that's another thing. It's like, you have pro-lifers who are all about adopting, right? But then it's like they don't want gay couples to adopt children because they're against gay couples adopting. So it's like, okay. So it's like you're against gay couples because they can't have children, but then like when they try to do something that would allow them to have children, even if they're not biologically theirs, you still don't want that. You don't want them to be able to adopt kids. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And then it's like, well, they're not. It's like, okay, so are you saying that straight couples who adopt, like, that's not valid? You think gay couples who adopt children, that's somehow not valid? So it's like, does the same thing go for straight couples? Um, it's like when Matt Walsh went on Tucker's show, and even Tucker was like flabbergasted to hear that. Like Tucker was like, what? Like he was Matt Walsh said he said it's better for kids to stay in the adoption, like to remain in foster care, to remain in the system, than it is to be adopted by a gay couple. It's like, wow, okay. I don't like throwing, and the thing is, I don't like throwing out the term homophobic because, again, I feel like, like lefties and stuff have like used that term to death and stuff. It's one of many terms that have like no meaning anymore because it's been used so often. But it's like, if there is anyone who I think is definitely a homophobe, it's definitely Matt Walsh. Like it's hard to say he's not at this point. But so I guess I went down this, talking about how they want to overturn same-sex marriage now, which I think they already tried to. I think it got struck down though, luckily. But it's like, of all the issues you could go back to the well on, you go back to that issue. You may as well just give up on it and like just move on from it because it's like most people nowadays just don't care, and they shouldn't. Some people are gay. Just get over it, deal with it. And apparently, a lot of members of your own party are also gay behind closed doors. I feel like they might try it harder to overturn it if another Democrat becomes president. Maybe, in order to make them look weak. It's possible. Although I think that the Republican Party is they're doing so much damage to themselves right now with the war with Iran and stuff, and the botched shit with the Epstein files and stuff. And it's like it's funny because um they had the Republicans had like they took control of nearly everything, and they had every opportunity to like do certain things right, but they just didn't. They fucked everything up, and so it's like they've almost guaranteed the Democrats are going to win. Like they might win back the House and stuff and other things, and so I don't know. The Republican Party is certainly they had a chance to turn into something halfway decent maybe, but obviously, you know, shoot themselves in the foot every time. I mean, as do the Democrats too, but this was pretty spectacular. Like with what happened with Roe v. Wade in 2022 and how Biden ended up taking a large portion of the blame for it, even though he had nothing to do with it. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you're saying. Which I mean, because was Roe v. Wade, because it was never codified, was it? It was codified into law, which they could have done, but if it wasn't already, um, which if it could be overturned, then. But yeah, I don't know. It's possible that they could do that. Um, I feel like with abortion, because like I consider myself pro-choice. Just to be clear, I feel like with abortion though, there might be like somewhat more of an argument, I guess. Whereas with gay marriage, there really are no great arguments against it other than religion. That's really the religion and some bullshit morality, which again you can feel how you want about it and you can have your religious beliefs. They don't come before the law does. um, at least Biden did codify the Respect for Marriage Act that protects marriage status in all 50 states regardless of what state law is on the books. Did he? I didn't know he did that. I mean, that's one good thing he did, I guess. You know I mean, I do in a way kind of blame Joe Biden for like the awful administration that we have now. Just because Joe Biden's administration was so bad, was so terrible. Um, and obviously, I think that's what really led to Trump getting elected again. Not even because that many people liked Trump, more than it was more so that the Biden administration was so terrible, did such an awful job that people were like, "Fuck." Maybe Trump probably was better. And like I will say, like I think that Trump's first term wasn't half bad. I think it was actually pretty decent. But obviously, this term has been like terrible in every way. But it's like Biden was such an awful president that people like went and like in droves to vote for Trump because Kamala Harris probably would have just been like 4 more years of Biden more or less. Um, Personally, I voted for the Libertarian candidate. Just to be clear, I didn't vote for either one. I voted for Chase Oliver, but yeah. So I don't know. In a way, you know I guess Biden is kind of to blame for all this now, but not like not like the opposing choice. Kamala Harris was really any better at all. It wasn't. May have even been worse, but I don't know. Who's to say at this point? But no, if Biden did do that, then I mean that's one good thing he did. Um, it's kind of funny because it's like getting off topic like slightly, but it's like I went back not too long ago and I watched um, the vice president debate between Joe Biden and Sarah Palin from like 2000. I think it was 2008 when Obama and John McCain were running against each other, and it's crazy. It's like crazy how much more coherent Biden was back then because he wasn't suffering from dementia, from early onset dementia. Because I mean, he so obviously was during his presidency. And I think another funny thing is that it's like the ages for the presidents kept going up. It's like we had Obama, who was like in his late 40s when he took the office, which is like a spring chicken, like in terms of presidents. And then he got out. Let's see, he would have been like in his like 50s when he got out of office, and so he went from someone in their 50s to a man at the time in his like early 70s, I believe. We go from that to a man in his late 70s knocking on the door of his 80s. It's like we went completely backward in age. Backward depending on how you look at it, I guess. But I just think that's funny. And then obviously we went to Trump, who is now in his mid 70s and knocking on the door of 80s. So yeah, I don't know. I think hopefully the next president that we get is not like a candidate for the nursing home. Seriously, the 2024 election was such a mess from the beginning. Yeah, in hindsight, it was. In hindsight, it was. I think the Democrats would have benefited from actually having like a primary and giving people an actual choice as to who they would want as the Democratic candidate. And maybe they could have even won, possibly. So I think that Kamala Harris had so much baggage from the Biden presidency. Which, I mean, to be clear, I didn't like Kamala Harris. I didn't like her at all. I would never have voted for her, like, ever. But if I had voted for either one, I'll be honest, I would have voted for Trump. The reason I didn't vote for Trump, though, was because he was posturing so much about Israel. And at the time, I was like, yeah, the way he's posturing right now, he's probably going to get us into a war with Iran, which I think my instincts prove correct. That, and at that point, I was growing kind of tired of some of the more moralistic shit. I was tired of the whole like religious bullshit, and so I just decided to vote for someone like. I voted for Chase Oliver because out of all of them, he most matched my principles. Which even with him, I had my disagreements on. But it's like, yeah, I just thought I couldn't vote for Trump, and I wasn't going to vote for Kamala Harris at all. So sometimes I feel like the people ended up going with Trump because of the whole "the devil you know" principle, even if they didn't agree with him at all. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. I'd agree with that. Or at least in comparison, he was better than Biden in comparison at the time. Now, but yeah, I don't know. I think that the Democrats, what they need to do is they need to set themselves up once again as the moderate party. I think they need to get a candidate who like positions themselves as like a center left candidate. Like even like Gavin Newsom right now is like has been trying to set himself up as that. He's like, oh, like we need to start like abandoning the identity politics and all this stuff. So he's trying to set himself up as like a more moderate Democrat candidate, even though like we know that he's like fairly further left than that, but it's like he's trying to set himself up as that. Personally, I think that one person they could go with. I mean, I wouldn't vote for him, but like, I think one person they should go with is Josh Shapiro, because he was actually going to be he was one of the possible choices that Kamala Harris was going to pick as a running mate, but she obviously went with Tim Walz, which I think was a mistake on her part. But I honestly think that we need a candidate that will actually do something to help the working class and just. Oh, I agree with that. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying in terms of like, if the Democrats want to win, I think that's what they need to do. But no, I agree. I agree. Like that we need a candidate that will actually do something to help the working class and just posture about it. I agree with that. Um, for me personally, at this point, I can't really vote for anyone who supports um, giving more foreign aid to Israel or Ukraine or whatever other war effort that we shouldn't even be involved in. At this point, if I see a candidate posturing about sending more aid to whoever else, it's like an automatic no for me, especially Israel. Give me a second. um, yeah, I think that after the disaster that's been this administration, I think they have a good chance of winning. But I think again they need to. That's why I think that someone like Mondami would make a good president because it's actually showing that he wants to help the working class. And um, agree to disagree there. Yeah, I'm not really a fan. Um, but I mean, I think that's why he won the fucking governor position in New York because he actually did talk about helping the working class. Whereas, I think it was Andrew Cuomo that was the independent candidate, which why he ran is like a mystery to me because of all the baggage he had. And he just wanted to talk about like Israel. I think he was talking about just stuff completely people shit that people don't even care about, or either that they don't care about, or that that they don't agree with, that stuff they don't agree with to begin with. Which is, if I remember correctly, he was talking about like foreign conflicts and stuff. When it's like people in New York don't give a fuck. They want to be able to afford, a place to live and stuff. And um, Mamdani like actually addressed that stuff, and so that's why he won. Um, Now, I think that he's since kind of backpedaled on some of his policies that he presented because he realized that they're not really quite feasible in practice. But so like I probably wouldn't support him as a president, as if he did run for president. But like agree to disagree, to each his own. But I do agree like that we do need someone like that who at the very least addresses the topic and actually like tries to give solutions as to how to help the working class and the middle class and stuff. um, I feel like if the Republicans, if they run Marco, because like the rumor is that Marco Rubio is going to be the one to be like groomed to be president or be the presidential candidate. um, Maybe not, but that's the rumor. But I feel like if they try to run Marco Rubio, they're gonna fucking lose. They'll lose big time because Marco Rubio is he's like everything wrong with there's a lot of things wrong with both parties. So it's basically the same sickness runs in both parties, but Marco Rubio is like the problem with the Republican Party. Just a fucking massive war hawk. Apparently, couch fucker. It's funny that you say that. One of my best friends was telling me about that the other day, the couch fucker thing. I'd never even heard of it, but apparently couch fucker Vance already said he's not interested in, which is fucking hysterical. Yeah, I mean, probably because he would be carrying the baggage from this administration. He probably knows that he wouldn't be able to win, and if he tries to separate himself from Trump and stuff, he would probably get like a bunch of backlash and stuff. And so it's like he's setting himself up in a it would be a no-win situation for him. So like he's probably better off not running. But yeah, so he's not running, and then so yeah, like the rumored candidate is Marco Rubio, which would be hysterical. uh, I don't know. I at this point, like I just wish like if Ron Paul was like 40 years younger and could just run, like that would be my wish at this point. I'll probably just end up voting Libertarian again, to be honest. Whoever runs the Libertarian Party. Uh, and if I don't care for them, then I probably just won't vote, to be honest, because it's looking pretty bleak right now. I still wonder what's going to end up happening to this weird celebrity cult around Trump when this disaster is all said and done. It's hard to say. Uh, I don't know. One thing I can definitely like agree on is that Trump needs to go. Um, he just it's I think everyone's tired is getting real tired of Trumpism and stuff. I mean, I was a supporter at one point. I will admit, I was definitely a supporter. I would say I was a soft supporter. I was never like a hardcore supporter. I was a soft supporter, um, and I liked that he was kind of like you know went against the grain as far as politicians go. Um, but at this point, it's just like I'm just over it. I think a lot of other people are too, because frankly, I feel like the whole thing just exemplifies what happens when stan culture gets out of control. Yeah, I mean, I think the people who still support Trump just have no principles because it's like, they claim to be like anti-war, like these anti-war populists, but then it's like, we're hauling off and getting involved in a war with Iran, and all of a sudden these people are just they don't care. They're just like they're all for war now, and they're doing the whole thing where it's like if you don't support this war, then you're somehow unpatriotic. So it's like, okay, great. So you're going down the whole like fucking 2003 Iraq war road, where it's like back then people who didn't support that war were also unpatriotic because somehow like supporting Israel somehow supporting it is somehow America first when it's not. But okay, that they were all for they were anti-war. They were all for the Epstein files being released, but now all of a sudden it's not that big of an issue actually, and people should just forget about it and move on. And yeah, the tariffs totally haven't affected prices, grocery prices and stuff, and totally hasn't fucked our economy even more than it already was. Like people are following a cult of personality. They're not interested in actual principles. They're just following a cult of personality at this point. Just checking the chat. Zach's chat looks like the premiere ended. Let's see, Tom Holland. All right, so Zach's premiere is over now. All right. Well, at the same time, you still have. Let's see. It's weird how you'll have so many conservatives who will try to posture that GOP supports gay people now, while at the same time you still have the Christian conservative neocons who still think gay marriage is a huge issue. Yeah. Um, I think. Yeah, I don't think the GOP necessarily supports gay people now. Maybe compared to people who are further right, like Nick Fuentes, for example. Like in comparison, it might seem like they support gay people, but it's like in reality they really don't. While at the same time, you still have um, which always kind of like struck me as funny why some people who are so quick to label themselves conservative when really they're not conservative, they're just more so just like anti, they're against all the political correctness, and they're um, I know the term is kind of been done to death at this point, but they're just like anti woke basically. um, and they just don't like identity politics and stuff like that. They're not really so much conservative, um, which is why I was never so quick to call myself a conservative, because it's like I didn't like all the you know I was very much against all the SJW stuff, which I still am. Um, I don't really use that term anymore, but it's like I still am against all that stuff. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to overlook the issues with the Republicans, conservatives either, which them trying to posture about gay marriage now and trying to make it back into an issue is, I'm not going to overlook that. Um, so, and especially like with, I mean, like, I just don't understand because again, like, I still use the term SJW occasionally. Yeah, like I do. It's sometimes it's a useful term to use just to explain what you're against and stuff. Um, and I make it clear that there's a difference between someone who's progressive and someone who's an SJW. Um, no, that's fair actually. No, that's yeah, because there are some people who are progressives and stuff who are technically like left wing basically, but they're also like against all the SJW like woke like all that stuff. Kind of like Jimmy Dore. Like Jimmy Dore is a progressive, um, and he supports like progressive politics when it comes to like economic issues and stuff. And he tends to be like fairly liberal on like social positions and stuff, but he's also very much against like the SJW stuff. Um, for me, I feel like there's also a difference between a progressive and a liberal, which I feel like actual liberals also reject the SJW stuff. Um, SJW to me doesn't mean all leftists are all progressives. SJW means the kind of easily offended asshole who cancels people over literally everything. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Um, like OMG, you think Mad TV is funny? You're every isterphobe under the sun. Yeah, yeah, those kinds of people. Yeah, yeah, those kinds of people are just I don't know, people who just make being whatever they are. Um, it's like if you or me were to make being gay like our entire personalities and base our lives or just around it entirely, you know, or someone being trans and that being their whole identity and personality, um, or someone being whatever skin color or whatever, and that basing their entire personality around that too, and bitching about how much of a victim they are constantly every day, and just people of debating and arguing about who's the bigger victim, who's more oppressed and stuff. It's like you all need to shut the fuck up. You know, it's like yes, there's going to be unique challenges that everyone faces if you happen to be maybe a part of a minority group, but at the end of the day, everyone's going through something, regardless of what skin color you are, what your sexual orientation is, or what your gender is. Everyone's going through something. Everyone's going through shit, especially now. And there's this like weird narcissism that people like that have, where it's like they want to constantly put themselves in the limelight of being like the biggest victim in the room just because of some immutable characteristic. It's like, unless you're part of like the filthy rich, it's like the economy is affecting all of us. It's like, oh, like you're somehow not struggling financially. Like you being white somehow means that you're not struggling financially as much as a black person or something. It's like that kind of shit. That's just like toxic and poisonous. That's why we've been getting so royally butt fucked politically. You can be the most pro gay, pro trans, and pro racial justice person out there. But the second you do something impure, you're the enemy. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I, well, and I think that when it comes to, I think one thing that's kind of been affecting like the left wing. I don't know if that's what you consider yourself or not, but like that's why I hate Twitter and Threads so much. Yeah. Um, but it's like I think the trans thing has also been kind of a dead weight for the left wing, because it's difficult to. I consider myself more of a left leaning progressive liberal than anything else. Okay. I just didn't know, like I didn't know, like where you kind of leaned particularly, but um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the trans thing is starting to become it has been a dead weight, and I only say that because it's increasingly difficult to know like what it is that is supposed to be pro trans at this point. Um, because I feel like the definition of it is it's like it's constantly changing. It's like I don't consider myself a leftist because that term is just so tainted for me now. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. But it's like at this point, being pro-trans kind of means like you have to acknowledge and validate uh, every identity that's like created every other month or something. It's like at this point, I probably would be like I'm not like I'm not I'm not against people being transgender. I'm not like anti-transgender people, Like I'm fine. Like I don't have an issue with it. Um, but I feel like at this point I would be considered anti-trans if anything because I don't really like. I tend not to really validate the a lot of the stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, people can identify as whatever they want. That's fine. People can do what they want, identify whatever as however they please. I'm not going to prevent them from doing so, certainly. But I do think at the end of the day, you're either male or female. Like I think that you're one or the other. I think that you can transition to one or the other, and I don't have an issue with that. Um, Obviously, you can't change. You can't. The way I personally view it is that there's 8 billion people on this planet, and you can't really expect everyone to be a carbon copy of one another. Yeah, that's fair. That's true. But I just think when it gets right down to it, when it gets right down to it, you know, when it comes down to gender and sex and stuff, you're a variation of one or the other. Um, which is a whole topic in and of itself, but um, I don't know. I don't really buy into the whole like I'm something in between or I'm something outside of. Which it's funny. I heard someone make an interesting point the other day because liberals and progressives from the '60s and '70s and stuff, they fought against strict gender norms and stuff and gender roles, which is to say that women have to wear dresses and men have to wear suits, whatever. Just I'm being like just a example, like that sort of thing. You know what I mean? And the whole idea was that you didn't have to like you could still you could be a man and wear more feminine clothing. You could wear dresses or wear makeup. It didn't make you any less of a man. Same thing with women. You could be a woman but still wear like flannel shirts and stuff and have short hair. It didn't make you any less of a woman. Um, because there was no one correct way to be a man or a woman or to express being a man or a woman. And that was the whole idea, was to get away from strict gender norms and gender roles like that. But then it's like you have things like non-binary, which funny enough, they kind of reinforce that kind of thing. It's like people who don't perfectly fit into being masculine or feminine, so therefore they're neither, or they're something in between, when it's like it kind of just reinforces the idea that there is a proper way to be masculine or feminine. So when really there's not, there's a myriad of different ways to be to express being a man or a woman or male or female. All right, babe, that sounds good. Um, but yeah, I support, I support basic, I'd say I support like the basic trans rights. Like, obviously I don't think they should be discriminated against in the workplace, and equal medical treatment, and like all the basic rights that everyone else enjoys. Like on that, from that basis, I would be considered pro trans and stuff. And I'm not I'm all for them getting surgeries and treat the transitioning and all that stuff. I'm totally fine with that. I'm cool with it. I'm not against it. But when you start getting into all the other stuff, it's just like at that point, I just kind of, I kind of I abandon that track, so to speak. When I was in college, I remember that my school's LGBT used to say that labels weren't important, and now it's all like labels are more important than anything else in the world. Yeah, it's funny how that works, right? Because it's like, yeah, labels aren't important. It's like there shouldn't need to be labels for everything, but it's like now it's like, yeah, there's labels for literally fucking everything and definitions for literally fucking everything. There's now a sexual orientation that basically just means you're not a fucking whore. Like there's now there's people can be demisexual, which means that you have to which means that you're only attracted to people that you get to know, basically, or that you're attracted to someone, yeah, just on the basis of just knowing them, you know. When it's like, okay, so basically that just means that you actually you like to know someone before you actually, decide to jump into bed with them and stuff. So it's called having standards and stuff, it's like a little bit of self-respect. I guess it's a sexual orientation now. Uh, then again, this was back in 2013. So much of politics just completely got turned on its head post Gamergate. Yeah, none of those made up terms make any sense fucking whatsoever. No, they don't. I don't know. It's a lot of the terms like just are they're um a lot of them have really no basis in reality. They're completely arbitrary. Like you're only that thing if you say you're that thing. That's the only thing that proves that you are that thing. That's why I don't take non-binary seriously. Like I just don't. Um, the amount of people I've seen who say, "Oh, I used to identify as non-binary, but now I don't anymore. Now I'm just a trans male, or now I'm not even any of that at all. I'm just gay or something, or I'm bisexual or whatever." Um, and to me, that kind of like proves that it's kind of baseless entirely. Because it's like you can't, because someone like, for example, someone who's gay, for instance, can't just be like, "Oh, I'm not gay anymore." Like I can understand how someone can be confused about their sexual orientation and stuff, or they might experiment with it. But it's like someone who is definitely gay isn't just going to one day be like, "Oh, I'm not gay anymore," or "I used to be gay, but I'm not gay anymore." No more than someone can say, "Oh, I used to be straight, but now I'm not straight anymore." It's like, no, because sexual orientation is obviously a deeply rooted thing, and it can be proven. Like you can prove that you're gay with a myriad of different things. Um, Even with people who have gender dysphoria who are actually trans, like it's been proven that gender dysphoria is an actual thing. Um, it's a medical thing. It's a mental disorder. It's a legit thing. And obviously, we've seen that people can actually transition and develop like secondary characteristics at least. So there's a basis in reality for even that too. But it's like someone is non-binary just because on the basis of just them just saying that they are. Um, that's why I think it's fucking funny when you have people who claim they successfully converted from gay to straight. Yeah, yeah, no. Okay, so you had a bi awakening. Yeah, I mean that, or that, or now they're just pretending, or they're just like they're pretending, or they're just uh, what's the word? majorly repressing themselves, which is going to backfire eventually. It's gonna end up being worse if you try to repress yourself that much. But yeah, convert from gay to straight. Yeah, please. Yeah, it's been proven that conversion therapy is like it's not a thing. It means fuck all. There's no science behind it that proves that it's effective in any way. And it doesn't matter if it is or not, because who the fuck cares, right? I always joke that God made me gay because all the stupid drama my family has. Yeah, yeah. He looked down at me and said, "You know what? This ends with you." That's funny. That's hilarious, actually. Uh, I may have to steal that from you. Actually, I may have to use that at some point, because there's a lot of drama in my family too, or at least there was. It still kind of is, but that's a good one, actually. But yeah, this has been 2.5 hours. Holy shit! And it's almost midnight. Oof. Thanks, babe. People always think, "Oh, you're an Italian family from Long Island. You must be so tight knit." Tight knit my fucking ass. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No. From Indiana originally. Uh, from a fucking small town. So I mean, you would kind of think maybe the same with my family, but no. Long Island, you must be. So, you're from? Do you live in Long Island? Actually, just out of curiosity. The Italian is in me. Yeah, it's funny actually. Zach, my partner, he actually is also Italian. Long Island. Okay. Long. Oh fuck. I'm having a stupid fucking moment. So at Long Island. So you may have mentioned it before. So you're in New York, correct? Um, but yeah, no, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, because I mean, yep, I'm from NY. That's cool. No, it's funny. Actually, I was just wondering because, like, maybe at some point, yeah, because me and Zach are obviously the city is practically a train ride away. Yeah, no, like because me and Zach are in Mass. Maybe like at some point, like me and Zach could meet up with you and we could hang out. That'd be pretty cool. Because yeah, I don't think that's not too far away. Oh yeah, no, we're very chill. So like, it definitely would be cool to, yeah, we could definitely like meet up at some point and hang out and stuff. So that'd be cool to meet like um cool to meet I guess a fan of the channel if you I don't know. about 4 hours south of Massachusetts. Yeah, so it's not that long of a trip. So that'd be pretty cool. I don't know. Not that I don't really think of myself as like, I don't know, having, I could handle it, but need breaks in between. Not like last time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Because of the one road trip that we took one time, and it was pretty taxing. Different now the videos I'm seeing from this Rush reunion are pretty fucking dope. Um, to be honest, when you said Rush, the first thing that popped to mind was the first thing that popped into my mind was Rush Limbaugh. Sorry. But obviously, you're talking about I think you're talking about the band. So that's those who are skeptical of. Yeah, I can't really say that haven't. I don't think I've listened to too much from them, but I'll have to check them out. I'm skeptical of playing drums are going to be pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I'll have to check them out. I don't think I've listened to them really too much. I've heard of them. I just haven't really listened too much to them or from them. Oh yeah, for sure. I found. Well, obviously you know this. I think you commented about it not too long ago, but it's like I found out about the birthday massacre from Stevie and stuff, and I love them. I went to see them last year. They're great. Um, Marilyn Manson's actually coming to Massachusetts in August. I kind of want to go. Um, I think I'm still able to buy tickets, but I do kind of want to go see him. It's him and Rob Zombie. That'd be pretty cool. Oh, you saw them last year as well. That's cool. I think my only complaint was that I don't know if it had something to do with like the tuning and stuff or whatever, but it's like I couldn't really hear Chibi very well when she was singing, so that was my only one complaint. Still can't believe Chibi is fifth. I know, man. She looks really good for her age. She definitely does. She looks great for her age. Um, yeah, that's insane. It's hard to believe they've been around since 1999 too. Technically, like they released their first album, I believe, in 2002, but they've been around since like 1999, which is insane. They've been around for 27 years at this point. And it's insane they don't have more like they should have more recognition. Tutorial it was watch over and over again. Yeah, welcome back, Corrado. Oh man, yeah, it's basically like a perfect combination of gothic metal and early Whitney Houston. Oh, that's an interesting way of putting it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the Grado. Yeah. Um, I know they get compared with Evanescence a lot, but I think that they're more unique. I think every album from the Birthday Massacre sounds a little bit different from what I've heard. Um, I think I don't know. I think my favorite album from the Birthday Massacre would probably have to be like because the first album that I listened to from them was Walking with Strangers, which is a great album. But I think if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably have to be I don't know. Superstition is pretty good. I think Superstition is probably my favorite from them. Although my favorite album is probably Superstition, followed by Fascination. Okay. So we have the same favorite album from them. Both of our favorite albums from them are Superstition. That's cool. Um, I've grown to appreciate. I think the album is called Pins and Needles, right? Latest one, Pathways, is also really good. I still have to listen to. I've listened to some songs from Pathways. I still have to listen to the entire thing. But from what I've heard, I've really liked. Um, yeah, but I think it's Pins and Needles. I think is the album that I'm thinking of. Yeah, because when I first listened to Pins and Needles, I thought it was okay, but since I've re-listened to it, I've appreciated it more. It's a shorter album, but it's all killer, no filler. That's good. I like. I mean, I like the artwork for all their albums, but the artwork for Pathways is really, really cool as well. Um, it almost looks like it could be like the cover of like a horror novel or something. I like it. It would be nice and sweet if you two could adopt cinnamon as y'all. Even my least favorite album by them, Hide and Seek, is still really good. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, Hide and Seek is the one that stands out to me the least, probably. Uh, that and like Under Your Spell is just kind of like I agree that every album from them is good. I don't think there's a bad album from them. But yeah, like Hide and Seek and like Under Your Spell is like the two that I kind of forget about the most, I'd say. Because I think I'll always remember the Violet album just because of like the song Blue. Under Your Spell probably has some of the most emotional lyrics. Yeah, like I think that's a standout song on that album. I think that it definitely has some haunting lyrics for sure. I think it's kind of like about realizing that you were at least this is how I interpret it. But it's like it's realizing that you were in an abusive relationship, and then getting out of it and getting out of the fog, and then realizing that you know you were in that. Like I listened to that album a lot when I was going through a hard time. Yeah, yeah. Like it's not a bad album. It's just it's out of all of them, it kind of it stands out to me. Not the least, but I may have to go back and listen to it again. I might have my mind changed, but Under Your Spell I would say, is the standout song in that album. Cinnamon did the flop. Oh my god, she's adorable. She's cute. Um, I do like that they have like a consistent like color theme in their albums too. I like the purple because I remember that Chibi explained that in an interview once. The reason that they have purple on their albums, and I forget, but I think she said it's like it's a combination of it's a combination of two things. It's like um, like there's the fire and the ice, but it's like they represent two things, two different emotions or two different themes. But I forget specifically what she had said. No Tomorrow is the one because it invokes the kind of feeling I get when someone you've crushed on turns out to be a horrible. Really, I don't I don't remember that. I'll have to listen to that again. I'll have to listen to that one again actually. Because I think I may have I've listened to the album through maybe like once maybe twice, but I'll have to give that song a second listen, folks. Hmm. I'll have to keep that in mind the next time I listen to it. Oh, because I've got the album pulled up on my phone right now. Without You is actually I do like that one as well. That's a pretty good one. Um, that and Under Your Spell. The other ones I've probably listened to, but I couldn't tell you. Like I couldn't remember much about them. Um, I think one of my favorite songs, like just in general from them, is on the Superstition album. It's I hope I'm saying the name right, but it's Oceania. Like that's a great song. I've listened to that one. I don't know how many times, but that's a standout song to me, just from them in general. The first song I ever listened to, the the first song I ever listened to from them is Red Star or Red Stars. I forget if it's Red Star or Red Stars, but like that's the first song that I ever heard from them. And after listening to that song, I decided to buy like the Walking with Strangers album. I would love it if a gay bar played that song. They should. Like they absolutely should. It's like I like just in general. It would be great if like gay bars played more of bands like the Birthday Massacre, just play more gothic rock and stuff like that. Because I feel like the stereotype is that like with gay bars and stuff, it's like they're all into like the pop and stuff and all the like all the usual stereotypical stuff. But it's like yeah, play the Birthday Massacre. It's like they don't know what they're missing, you know. Ocean absolutely kicks ass. I love the gay bar played. Divide and Beyond as well. Yeah, Divide's great. I have a list of Birthday Massacre songs, like my favorite Birthday Massacre songs, and like Divide is on that as well. Always, the song "Always" from Pins and Needles is also like really good. It's very sad, but it's also very good. Especially like the opening of it is amazing. Um, yeah, I think I started listening to their album Diamonds. I haven't listened to all that one yet. I still have to listen to all of Fascination too. I've got about just about every one of their albums except for like the newest one, I think, or maybe like the newest one and the second to newest one. pretty surprised when I saw them that Owen. Hmm, interesting. Yeah, you'd think it would be I think it would be a bigger size. Um, I don't know, like the from where I saw them, it I was me and the people that I went with, we were up on the balcony, and we were like directly across from them. Also, like, so I didn't get to see too close up to see any of that. But yeah, that's kind of crazy actually. But like, Chibi's definitely a trooper. Like she was, they were gonna pack it in early, but then she came back out and decided that she was gonna continue like finish the set because she was suffering from a cold at that point. But she ended up finishing it out because she like loved the crowd so much. So it's like she's great. And I was lucky enough to be able to go to the merch table and actually get a shirt with all the tour dates on it. So it's always cool when you go to one of those things. It's like I went to an Alice Cooper concert with my dad back in 2018, and I got one of the shirts that had all the tour dates on it. And getting the same thing from the Birthday Massacre is really cool. Chibi really is an amazing front woman who shows true love and appreciation for her fans. Yeah, she does. She's great. I love her. Um, yeah, yeah. I showed my dad the band actually, the Birthday Massacre, and because he's also a musician, he plays guitar and he's been in several bands and stuff, and um, nothing like big or anything, but just like he teaches guitar and stuff. But like I showed him the band, and he liked it, but like he's such a big fan of like the he's a big fan of like Black Sabbath and ACDC and Deep Purple and kind of the more classics and stuff. And, but yeah. Hey dude, I'm probably gonna sign off soon. I'm getting tired. Are you on Insta or Facebook or anything? Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Uh, yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well. Yeah, absolutely, definitely. I'd like that. Let's definitely do that. What is I don't know. I don't know if what is what do you go by on Facebook? Because I go by so I think I just go by Stephen Trowbridge on Facebook, but yeah, I just Stephen Trowbridge on Facebook. Or if you're not comfortable sharing that on here, that's totally cool. But Francesco, I'm the guy with the mullet. Okay, cool. I'll look you up and I'll send you a request and definitely because this has been a good conversation. Fun to meet another fan of the Birthday Massacre and a gay fan of the Birthday Massacre too. It's actually pretty cool. So it's refreshing. Um, but yeah, no, I'm probably gonna get off here too. Because this has gone on for almost 3 hours. So, but um, I appreciate everyone who joined. This was fun. I'll try to do this more often. If I can, or if I'm feeling it, but like I'll definitely want to do this more often because this was a lot of fun. So thanks to everyone who joined. Thanks for participating in the chat and stuff, and hopefully I'll be back soon. So have a good evening or day, whatever time of day it is for you. You should stream on OBS on your Chromebook. Well, that's what I'm doing right now. Well, not OBS, but yeah, I'm streaming on my Chromebook right now. But yeah, so that's it. Peace out. And just have a good one.